Hi, I'm Tom Haney, and in this presentation I'm going to try to give you information that may help you to stay fit and healthy and avoid injury. Now before we get underway, I'd like to tell you that for credit from the LMHF Wellness Program Part 2, you must watch the video in its entirety, watch to the end, and then make a comment on each video with your name. Once confirmed by LMHF that you have watched the video in its entirety, your comments and name will be promptly removed. Thank you and enjoy. This presentation is about ladder safety. This is about you understanding the proper use and maintenance of a ladder. So let's see if we can get through this and make some sense out of it. First of all, a ladder is an indispensable tool. There are many, many times when we have to do things above the normal reach, which requires us to stand on something, and we don't want it to be something that isn't designed to support your weight. So a ladder is the answer. There are many kinds of ladders, and they are different. They're different in their use, they're different in their maintenance, and different in you need to understand. We know that lots of people get injured every year in using ladders. Lots of different ways. Not all of them are falls, but the reality is lots of people get injured while using ladders. And most of the time when they involve a fall, it's a fall of less than 10 feet. So it's not people falling off these huge ladders at a construction site or something. It's often at work or at home, relatively low, 10 feet or less, that causes people to become injured. So what are some of the important issues here in terms of ladder safety? Well, certainly ladders can move and shift and change during their use. If we place them on unstable or slippery surfaces, that can cause us to slip. Having your foot slip on a rung because of something on your shoe or on the rung can be a serious issue. Loss of balance. Now that often involves reaching too far. Instead of moving the ladder, we tend to want to reach out and get things as far as we can manage to move our body out to the side and reach. Not a correct thing to do. And in some cases, the ladders are struck by another vehicle, knocks over and knocks you over. So some of the things that you can do to try to really reduce the risk. Inspect and maintain all of your ladders. Look for them. Anything that is loose or broken or wearing, get it fixed. Always, of course, match the task to the appropriate ladder. You don't need a 20-foot ladder to change a light bulb in your house, most likely. Could be that you would, but not likely. The idea is choose the appropriate ladder for the use. Set up the ladder correctly. That can lead to a lot of concerns if people incorrectly set the ladder. And then, of course, go up and down the ladder properly, and we'll talk about how to do that. You should understand that ladders come with 4 different ratings. A 1A is designed to handle loads of up to 300 pounds. A heavy duty is 250 pounds. Medium duty 225, and light duty no more than 200 pounds. Look at the ladder and make sure that the rating is visible on it and understand what that means. And that's just not the weight of the person on the ladder, it's the weight of anything they might be supporting as well. The total weight on the ladder is the consideration. So there are types of, let's say, portable ladders, non-supporting and self-supporting. Let's see if we can make some sense out of that. First of all, the non-self-supporting ladder is the basic ladder that we use that is usually leaned against something, often a building or something on which we're working. They have a 30-foot maximum length. They shouldn't be longer than that. They're usually made of wood or metal or fiberglass. They're designed for one worker at a time to be on them, not more than one worker. And they should have slip-resistant steps so that you're not likely to have your foot slip off one of the rungs. Then there's the extension ladder, or some kind of people call it a section ladder, and it's 2 or more sections of ladder that are designed so that you can extend the length of the ladder. We do have to have them overlapping in order to have enough strength to them. Once again, it's designed for one person to be using the ladder. It's not designed for several people to be on the ladder. Same basic construction, wood, metal, or fiberglass. And the overlap between the two pieces is listed on this slide. Up to 36 feet, there should be 3 feet of overlap. When it gets higher than that, over 36 feet, there should be 4 feet of overlap. And of course, between 48 and 60 feet, which would be the maximum for a wooden ladder, there should be 5 feet of overlap. They shouldn't be extended longer or farther than 72 feet. No matter how many sections they have, that would be the maximum. And in order to prevent it from sliding, and that is a concern, the slipping, is that there should be a tie-off at the top so that you can actually secure the ladder to the building or surface that you're climbing on. And then there's the self-supporting ladders, or what we normally call a step ladder. It's designed to stand by itself. The steps are usually flat. You need to have a firm stance on the ladder. You need to have the locking arms in place and securely locked down. You never should stand on the very top step or rung. Usually there's a little note on there that says, do not stand on this step, and that's because that isn't safe. And there's a 20-foot maximum height for step ladders. The two-way step ladder is designed for 2 people. You can actually ascend or descend on either side of the ladder. And they, again, can be no more than 20 feet. Platform ladder is one that usually at the top has a built-in platform, and it's designed so that you can put something there. For example, taking a light fixture down, you can place it there as you descend the ladder. If you're painting, it gives you a place to put the tools that you're using in a stable position. The orchard ladders, I don't know how many of you would be using this, but the reality is it's designed with a very wide base so that it can be on a somewhat less than stable, let's say softer surface, without losing its stability. You don't ever stand on the top of it. There's a 16-foot maximum, but during pruning and harvesting, these are often used in farms and in orchards to allow people to reach the fruit or vegetables at the highest levels, but in a safe manner. And then there's the trestle ladder, which has an extension in the center, which allows an increase in the height, and the maximum height on this is usually about 20 feet. Shouldn't exceed the natural design for these pieces of equipment. Like any other pieces of equipment, there are standards that are designed to keep you safe while using them. I just threw this picture in there because it's exactly what you don't want to be doing, and that is jerry-rigging something, making it work, even if it's the wrong pieces of equipment, has to have a person down there keeping it from flipping over. I mean, it's wrong. Use the right equipment and the right tool for the job, and you will be much safer and better off. So when you select the ladder that you're going to use, there are lots of different criteria that you might want to look at in terms of which would be the best for this job. The right tool for the job is the key in this one. Sometimes accidents happen because somebody failed to inspect the equipment. The ladder itself wasn't in good shape and collapsed or broke. It wasn't placed appropriately. The angle was perhaps too great, or was placed on an uneven or slippery surface, or you didn't use safe practices while climbing. Those are things that we need to be particularly sensitive to. So once you choose the right ladder for the job, you then have to do an inspection and make sure that the ladder and the rungs are clean and that the ladder is undamaged. If a rung breaks while you're on a ladder, it can be disastrous in terms of its consequences. Placing the ladder should be near the work that you're going to do so you don't have to reach out to one side or the other. It should be at a proper angle, and the way we determine that generally is the base should be about the distance of a quarter of the length of the ladder. So depending upon the height of the ladder, a quarter of its length would represent the distance that it should be away from the wall or surface. You want to make sure that you're on a solid surface that's not slippery and not going to sink. So it happens in some cases. You're on a surface that's soft and one of the legs begins to sink into the surface. Again, a picture of somebody using the wrong ladder in the wrong way. So securing a ladder should be lashed or nailed in place when possible. You don't want it to be able to slide left or right or slide down, so by lashing it in place or nailing it, it'll keep it at that level. It should be extended about 3 feet above the surface that you're going to be at the maximum height surface. Another 3 feet gives you an opportunity for some degree of movement of the ladder without having it become unstable. All right, this was just another of those pictures. People actually standing on a forklift with a bunch of pallets on it to try to do a repair job. That's not the proper use of elevating your body in order to do a job. It's what ladders are designed for, and that's what you should understand and use them appropriately. Always face the ladder. Use 3 points of contact. You should know that by now. 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand must be in contact with the ladder at all times. If you have to get things up the ladder, put them on a hand line or use a hoist to raise them up to the level that you need to access them, but do not try to carry them up the ladder. And you can usually attach light tools or those kinds of things to yourself. You know, using a tool belt or something, you can have certain tools on you as you're climbing the ladder, not in your hands. Another of those. What would prompt somebody to climb up that ladder being supported by a bunch of old lumber? It doesn't make any sense. People do it. We know what happens. So using the ladder, be sure that you set it on a skid-resistant surface, especially on a metal ladder. The rungs, the steps, should be skid-resistant, and often they are designed with that, knurled or dimpled so that you won't have a foot slipping off. With a metal ladder, you don't want to be using electrical equipment if you can avoid it. That puts you at greater risk. Or if you're going to be near something that might be energized, that metal ladder may not be your best choice. Be sure to place both feet firmly on the rungs and steps. One person only on a standard ladder. Inspect a ladder, especially if there has been a mishap. If it's collapsed or been tipped or exposed to harsh chemicals, inspect it carefully, because as it deteriorates, your risk goes up. I already mentioned extending the ladder at least 36 inches above the access. Keep areas around the ladder free of debris, and of course keep the weight on the ladder, the worker as well as anything else they would be holding or supporting or carrying. All of that should never exceed the weight limits of the ladder. Don't paint ladders. That's not a good idea, because it hides or masks the breakdown, the damage that might be done to the ladder because of age or abuse. Don't use ladders that are broken in any way or have oily parts, because they would become slip hazards that become fall hazards. Don't ever stand or sit on the top of a step ladder. They're not designed for that. Don't reach out to the sides because it can tip so easily. Transporting a ladder. Well, the biggest issue here is not only your personal well-being, but those around you. So elevate the front end of the ladder. If you're going to use a vehicle, it should be parallel to the bed. Don't throw it or toss it into the bed. It'll cause damage to the ladder. Be sure that it's supported so that it's not going to sag or bend in some way, damaging its effectiveness. Secure the ladder to the vehicle. Drive slowly, especially on rough terrain, and flag the end of it if it needs to be. Maintaining the ladders. Neglected ladders become dangerous fairly quickly. If that's the case and it causes you harm, that's on you, because you should have inspected the ladder and then maintained it properly with regular inspections, tightening all the bolts and fasteners, and again, not painting a wooden ladder because it will hide the defects. Hopefully, you can use a tool as important and as useful as a ladder in a safe, effective manner by following these guidelines. Good luck. Thank you.